So in one of our prior episodes, we were looking at this Judge Judy defamation case. Thanks for staying tuned. Now we're going to move on to part 2. I don't think there's going to be defamation here. I don't think they've got the proof that this guy committed any crimes. And I think Judge Judy is going to probably fly off her rocker about it and see what happens.
It doesn't, Your Honor.
It does not?
Correct.
Well, then you defamed him, Mr. Diaz, because you had no reasonable proof. You had no reasonable basis for saying that Mr. Harris had a long criminal history. You can say that he ran a shoddy operation.
Right.
You can say that he was trying to scam you out of the fee for towing your car, but you can't say something that isn't true that alleges that someone has a long criminal history. You can't say that without consequence. So, did the co-defendant print anything similarly?
No, ma'am. I can't say that he did.
Well, with regard then to Mr. Diaz...
I also have my original post, if you need it, Your Honor.
I don't give a rat's behind about your post. Mr. Diaz's post, it's like saying, Mr. Diaz, that someone has a terrible communicable disease that would be embarrassing. And you have no proof of that. Accusing someone of having a long criminal history is something that you can't do, and it's irresponsible, and you owe him $5,000. That's my judgment on his case against you. Now, you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for the towing fee.
So Judge Judy lit him up like a Christmas tree. $5,000 is a decent chunk of change for what he wrote, but it played out exactly as we predicted, right? And so that truth defense didn't work. Right? Because it wasn't true. He just made it up, didn't have a basis for it, and that's defamation. So when you're out there writing your online reviews, got to be careful about what you say. And hopefully this analysis in this episode is helping teach everybody a little bit about what to say and how to say it. So now there's some kind of counterclaim. I don't know what that's about. Let's see what happens.
So do you want to show me photographs of...
Probably should explain a counterclaim. So you sue somebody, and then they sue you back for something else, that's a counterclaim. So that's when the defendant who's been sued is asserting claims the other direction, and they become a counter plaintiff, if you want to call it that. And what's important about that, from a legal context, is that you have to bring those claims or they're barred, right? So here's the basic concept. Someone sues you, and you have a counterclaim for something that's related to the underlying case. If you don't sue them back, and the case ends up resolving somehow, and then you try to go sue them after the fact for that counterclaim, it's probably going to be dismissed because you have this duty to kind of resolve all claims at once. And so if you waive your right to file that counterclaim, you're probably going to lose that right forever.
With regard to that, you are actually the plaintiff in this matter. So do you want to show me photographs of the place where you parked? And tell me when those photographs were taken.
They were taken on the day of the event on the 23rd, and then on the 4th of July weekend. So the first series of pictures that you see in front of yourself, Your Honor, that is the area that I parked in when we pulled into the apartment complex. There wasn't any signage designating that area.
Hold on. You mean except this?
That facility is underneath the apartment complex. We didn't park in that area, but there is a clear sign saying that you can be towed in that area, underneath the apartments.
So underneath the apartment, it says, tow away all unauthorized vehicles. Is that correct? Mr. Harris?
That is located in the underground of the parking facility. That's correct.
Okay. Is there any signage other than that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. That's at the entrance to the complex.
Was this signage there on the 23rd?
Yes, ma'am.
The outside?
Yes.
So inside, there was nothing to restrict the parking in here, but there was here.
There is a signage there. There's also another series of photographs beyond there that show just to the right of where you're looking at in that photograph is the visitor parking, where it's clearly marked on the ground designated visitor parking in the pass required, along with signage behind it.
It says visitors pass parking. Now let's see his
He omitted all
photographs.
those.
Just a second. Well, I'm looking at his picture, and I'm not saying that you're wrong because there's clearly a sign here that says if you're a visitor, you can park here, but you must have a visitor's pass.
Yes, I wasn't aware of that at the time.
Well, you're not being aware of it, sir, does not make you right.
There were also other visitors that were visiting that day that also had the same complaint and issue as well.
That is irrelevant. This is clear, right? Did you see it?
I didn't see the visitor parking spot
Well,
when we pulled through.
There's a gate here, correct?
Correct. It was open when we arrived.
It says in big bold letters, tow away. So I would stop and read it. But this says open parking prohibited, tow away, resident parking permit required. Visitors must park in designated areas with a valid guest pass displayed.
So how do folks think this is going to shake out? So they're trying to say, hey, we didn't know we couldn't park there, but some pretty clear signage and some markings in the parking lot itself. I'm not thinking they're going to do very well on this. Let's see what happens.
Displayed. All unauthorized vehicles will be cited and or towed at the owner's expense. Unauthorized vehicles parked in designated accessible spaces not displaying distinguishing placards or special license plates issued for persons with disabilities will be towed away at the owner's expense. That's clear.
That's pretty specific.
The fact that you didn't see it is not relevant to being towed. Now, you don't get your money back. The fact that you didn't read it doesn't make any difference. If you park your car and it says no parking here to the corner and the sign is there and you don't read it and you say, I didn't see it, and they tow your car, the city's not going to say, oh, I'm sorry you didn't see it. You didn't see it, you didn't see it. It was there for you to see. Okay, all right. Anyway, you own $5,000. You get zero. Your counterclaim is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
So they lost. And so you might be asking yourself, well, what if you didn't see the sign? So one of the questions would be, well, how big is the sign? How easy was it to see? Should he have noticed it? That sort of thing. Obviously, if it's a tiny little sign tucked away in a corner that nobody sees, they might have won. But this is pretty clear right when you enter the parking lot, big bold letters, you're not going to win that case.